Welcome to the We Legit podcast, where expression of true self is appreciated. And I'm your host, Marquis Carter. Welcome to another episode of the We Legit podcast. And we're going to get back into the storytelling. First of all, I'd like to let you know this is one of my snapback hats. It's on our website at www.welegitclothing.com. And what I have is one of my Letterman jackets, custom made. Seen it on TikTok, probably Facebook and Instagram. They go for $150, special order. Just DM me for contact information and we can work something out. Back to the storytelling of how I eventually came to the South. What happened was I had graduated college in criminal justice and I was trying to get a job. Nothing wasn't really working for me in California. So I tried Nevada, tried Arizona. The cost of living and the pay thing and the job market just wasn't really working for me. So I migrated back to California. Stayed there for about a year. Still nothing going on. So I ended up doing security. So I transitioned from California to Dallas, Texas. And the reason why I chose Dallas is because a female that I knew that I had worked with. And she said, you should come to Dallas. You know, you like it. Similar to back home, blah, blah. So I did my research on it. Found an apartment in Denton. And I went out there and started working. I was working with kids, then doing security. This is my first time living in officially a small town in my eyes because Long Beach was everything to me and LA was just down the street, you know what I'm saying? So the transitioning was wasn't scary, but it was like something that I needed. So from driving like a day and a half from Long Beach, California to Dallas, I passed Riverside, Moreno Valley, Flagstaff, Arizona, small little portion where it's like the border of Nevada and Arizona. I remember sleeping at a truck stop to get some rest. And then the longest drive was New Mexico and Texas. Arizona wasn't too bad. Just the elevation gets higher. And I believe I took the 40 all the way there. And then it had got dark. On the drive wasn't too bad. It was just New Mexico. It was just long. Whole lot of land and mountains and just a lot of land and nothing. Stopped to get gas. Chopped it over to a couple of Native Americans at the gas station, all that other stuff. Back on the mission. But when I finally hit the Texas border, I started seeing the Longhorns, the farms, that sign saying don't mess with Texas. You can come here on vacation, leave on probation. There's an actual sign when you're coming into Texas. I think it's the 40 freeway. I can't remember. Been so long. And I passed through Amarillo. I went through, can't remember all the spots I went to. But it was my first time experience driving in the dark. Now, mind you, I was low-key kind of scared because I never drove in the dark before. Because in LA, the street lights on the freeways, everywhere you go is some type of lights. But I never driven in a highway or a freeway or however you want to call it dark. It was no lights, no police, no nothing, and you can go 75. So I was kind of like, well, I'm trying to keep up this other car. This other car flying, vroom, vroom. You know, he flying, and I'm trying to keep up with him. Then I got like a little petrified when when he dipped off, and I cannot remember the name of that town that I passed. And when I got to Texas, I believe it was like a little town called Gainesville. And once I went there, I got on to the major highway. Then I made it to Denton. When I got there, it wasn't too much of anything there. It was a small town. I believe they had 2 Walmarts, handful of stores, but to have a good time, you had to go to Dallas. So I was getting settled in, liking trying to get a feel for Denton, but it was like I just wasn't feeling it. It was cool to live, but as far as like partying wise, you had to go to Dallas. And after I had got settled in, got the job and everything, and everything was just going smooth. People on the job was a little different because I wasn't used to people being so nice and being courteous, saying yes sir, no ma'am, and all that stuff. All that was just new to me. Seeing a whole lot of land driving to work was just new to me. It was like nothing city until I went to Dallas. So it was cool. Met a lot of cool people I'm still friends with to this day. To this day. And when I came to the South, it was a tough transition at first because everything was new and it was anything comparable to California. So after 6 months, I done got adjusted and I was cool. I was chilling. And I stayed out there for about a little over a year. And then I ended up migrating to Tennessee to meet my my great grandfather's side of the family, the Carters, out of Nashville, Tennessee. And when I drove to Nashville, Tennessee, I have a great grandmother that's from Arkansas. Never seen her a day in my life. When I went to go visit the summer of 2015, I want to say it was 16. I want to say it was 2016, the summer. Man, when I was driving, I want to say it was the 40. When I went to Arkansas, I was just looking and driving, and I was like, wow, I can't believe that she grew up in a place like this. This is nothing similar to back home. Even leaving Dallas, going through like Texarkana, all them little spots, Mount Pleasant, all them spots outside of Dallas, it's like I just did not know it existed. Changed my perspective on life and how people live, and I don't take nothing for granted. And then it's just a trip to see all that. It's just a lot of land of nothing. And people live out there. I don't know how they maintain stability, but they living out there, you know what I'm saying? And then on the way, driving through Arkansas, finally seeing Little Rock and all the other stuff. Then hit Tennessee, finally seeing Memphis, all that greenery. I just never seen so much country. It's a beautiful state. I just never seen nothing like that. And when I came to Nashville, passing Jackson and seeing them signs off the side of the freeway, on the 40, that not Tennessee. Tina Turner got a museum. I forgot she was from Tennessee and all that other stuff. It just tripped me out. Then meet my folks in Nashville. They was really cool. They really cool people. I don't have nothing bad or negative to say about them. They gave me a whole lot of history that I didn't know nothing about. And one of my cousins showed me all the trenches area of Nashville, and it just tripped me out because I just thinking maybe this place is similar to back home, and it was in its own little way, but it just wasn't what I thought it would be. But it wasn't a bad spot. It wasn't developed like it is now. You know what I'm saying? I'm used to like 7-Eleven, all this stuff that you can have, even in Dallas. But when I came to Nashville, Tennessee in 2016, it was like I took a step back in time. You know what I'm saying? I was like, whoa. It kind of tripped me out. There was no 7-Eleven. There was no Chase Bank. It wasn't too much of anything. I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I can do this. But it was cool to meet the folks and everything, and they showing me where they came from and whole lot of background on a family tip, and I ended up staying out there for a little while, and I didn't really stay too long because I couldn't adjust to the slowness. So I had headed back to Dallas. I stayed out there for a handful of years until the job I had, I was trying to promote and make more money, and it just wasn't happening because with certain jobs, it come with politics and if you're liked and all that other stuff. And me, I ain't got that kind of time. So, I like to make it happen. If I can't make it happen here, I can make it happen somewhere else. And then ventured back to Tennessee, made it work, lived in a small town, did security, and it changed my perspective on life and living in a small town. Made me appreciate a whole lot more things in the city. Because, in a small town, a lot of stuff is limited, not too much going on, and not too many resources. It's like you got to deal with what you got in that town or in the surrounding areas, or you got to travel to go have you some fun. Out there for about 3 years. And what made me leave was I had was working for the state of Tennessee, went up for a promotion, didn't get it. One bad, one bitter, no nothing. So Nipsey had passed and I started the company. And then when I started the company, I was like just working on it little by little. I wasn't taking it serious. But I was just working on it. And as working on it, I wanted to make more money. And the pandemic had hit. So I was good during the pandemic. So I ventured back to Texas, Dallas, to make more money. And then when I made the money, I eventually started the company. Got serious with it. With a female companion at the time mentioned I should get an LLC. Did my research on it. I got the LLC, and then still didn't take it serious. I was just working on it little by little, learning. A lot of trial and error, a lot of trial and error. Then we parted ways, start over again. And then once I got everything together, 2023, I was ready. I launched it randomly. It wasn't like no countdown or nothing like that. I was just showing little snippets, stuff like that. And that's what I did. So when I ventured, when I was in Dallas, I was getting a lot of views on TikTok, not so much on IG or Facebook as of yet, but I was getting a lot of views on TikTok. And when I was starting a company, I'm looking at my schedule. I'm working 5 days straight, only 2 days off, mandatory overtime, and I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to make them work on this company while working this job. So I had a nice schedule, 12-hour schedule in Tennessee. So I looked at that and I had more time to work on my craft. So a lot of people would think that I did a lot of back and forth and couldn't stay still. And it's true. I couldn't stay still. But I was always trying to better myself on each of these transitions. So as a transitioning, it worked out in my favor because I'm able to start business and it grew how I wanted to grow. Slow pace, but it's steady as I wanted to. I still maintain stability, still maintain a good following, and grew a whole lot of following. And then on this transition of the move, it got me to be recognized worldwide. Now, We Legit LLC is known overseas, Russia, Middle East, Africa. Well known in Nashville, Tennessee, especially known back home in Long Beach, California. And for me, on the recording of this episode, even though I didn't have the idea of what I wanted to do entrepreneur wise, because when I graduated high school, it was always in the back of my mind. I just didn't have that spark or education until the internet became what it is now. So when I started the idea, it was in 2019. It was a little after Nipsey got killed, and work became easy. And this is the advice I would give to people that are working jobs. When your job becomes easy, you should start doing a hobby or find something that you like to do on the side as a business or a side hustle. So you can treat your side hustle or your business as a second job. It's a job, but it's not really a job. It's just something you like to do. You're just making a profit off of it. And the steps to getting your LLC, depending on which state that you're in. How I did it was in Texas. What I did was I paid for the name. I paid for the state of Texas to search throughout the state of Texas to see if anybody had the name. When they told me it was clear, I put in the paperwork and I did all the signing and documentation and all these things to get my LLC, and it cost $300. Now, it's a certificate that you have to it's an article, certificate, or certificate of an article, some of that nature, when you putting together your LLC, and it's going to ask you who all do you want to be a part of and what's their percentage and all that other stuff. That's the very most important part of getting your LLC. Is that the second most important part is you got to get a registered agent. The registered agent will keep you updated on all the new laws and keep you on top of things that you wouldn't even recognize that you need to know when having a business or running a company. And for example, a new law came out to where you got to register your business to the federal government, and it costs $25 or $20 a year for them to recognize that you're a legitimate business. If you don't pay that, they would charge your business $100 a day. The registered agent keep you on top of everything. And on top of getting a registered agent, after you do that part and you pay your $300, they're going to mail you a certificate of achievement or structure of a LLC, something of that nature. When you get that, you they're going to give you a EIN number. You register your company name to the IRS. And once you do all the questionnaire, they're going to give you an EIN number. You take that EIN number, you go get a business bank account. When you get a business bank account, that's when you can it opens you up to a whole variety of different things. Some people like to get a loan. Some people like to get business credit cards, all that other stuff. Mine is 100% on, and I don't have no loans. And starting out, your business credit is the same as your current credit score. But as time goes on and your business is growing, you start to build equity and credit on your own business wise. And when it comes to marketing, after you do all that, then you can start selling. Most people sell online. Most people go to vendor events, pop-up shops, all kind of things. Me, I didn't have the luxury. I never done a vendor event. I never did a pop-up shop. I wanted to do it traditional way, which is considered old school, word of mouth. So what I did was I got business cards made through Vistaprint, and I went to all the laundromats in the Dallas Fort Worth area, and then I wore my stuff wherever I went. Then a couple people would look at it and be like, hey, nice shirt, whatever. Thank you. This ain't etc. But it's a lot of trial and error. This is not the original design on the hat. I had to change it up, make it more modern. You got to follow trends on whatever business or company that you in. And you got to stay on top of what's going on. Good thing for TikTok. For me, I was all about Facebook and Instagram. I didn't really take TikTok serious. When And then got a couple sales. First 6 months was rough because I'm thinking like, is people looking at what I'm doing? Is people taking me serious? I don't know. It seemed like nothing was working the first 6 months. Sales was from relatives. They ordered something. I sent them about like 2 or 3 like free stuff along with it. Didn't get no recognition. I was like, hey, just take a picture and give me a review or send it to me. Got none of that. You know what I'm saying? None of that. Some of them did, some of them didn't. Then I was like, okay, things growing. I know what to do. I'm learning how to press. I know how to do this. So I know how to do anything now. So as I said, I didn't have much time to work on the business due to work schedule and trying to maintain life and running this business. So it's kind of difficult. And plus, it's really hard when you're by yourself. So when I made the transition to Tennessee, I grew. So not only was I able to just not purchase, but market my website. A coworker of mine that used to work in Dallas requested a custom. That custom got me to where I am today. He said I had creativity on the front. He just wanted his last name on the back. He wears that hoodie to the gym all the time, and he be showing me that he'd be wearing it and all that other stuff. And then I started doing a whole lot of customs. I did birthday shirts, gatherings, graduations, a variety of different things. Now, people loving my jerseys. People are loving his Letterman jacket. They liking the chain. They liking the hat. And now I done transition from doing that to going to TikTok. First time I went on TikTok, I had a shop. I didn't really take it serious. I was just letting people know, like, hey, I got a shop. Here you go. But TikTok took it away from me because I wasn't following the rules of TikTok. So the second time they gave it to me, I took it serious. When I started going live, interacting with people, talking to people, and all that other stuff, it gave me an even bigger boost because at first they didn't really know who I was, but they seen that I sell clothes or whatever. So on the shop, I was like, hey, this is my shop, da 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 da. If you purchase it, let me know, da da da, and I give you all these deals. So now, when you run a business, and if it's a successful business, it's like a full-time job. So I have no days off. Another way that I market is going out to establishments, wearing what I wear, going to events, anything of it, any outside event or something, even DoorDashing or Ubering, however you choose. If you have business cards, just tell people like, hey, this is what I do, da da da. They'll check it out, however the case may be. People is always watching and people is always surfing. So from when I first came to Tennessee to now, I average a lot of views a month, a lot of sales a month, and I'm slowly growing, and growing to where I'm being recognized by a lot of different people on TikTok that I don't even know. Asking for sponsorships, reviews, a whole lot of different stuff. And which led me to podcasting. And this episode is not going to be too long, but I'm really just summing it up. But it's just to give y'all a brief description of, you might start off at a certain level, but in every human being's mind, they always want to elevate, but they probably don't know how. If you have to leave your hometown, your city, state, county, wherever the case may be, if you really want to know who you are as a person, I always say you have to go somewhere where you don't know nobody and there's no family there. And they really would test you to see if you can sink or swim. Once you get over that stage and you get out your shell of your normal activity of wherever you're from and adapt to something new, where you really got to talk to people and not people just know you for back in the day and all the other stuff. That's when you really becoming who you are instead of just a person that's known for a reputation. And it really builds character and it builds toughness. And it builds a lot of stuff like that wouldn't even phase you. Now, nothing phases me. I'm all about how could I elevate and build this company up the way I want to. So, this is going to conclude the episode of me transitioning from California after graduating college and with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, working in the criminal justice field with the youth, and working security on the adult side. A lot of transitioning and a lot of work. But it's nothing bad in all these different transitionings. And there's nothing wrong with going to a spot and it's not cracked up how you want it to be. Because remember, you got to live this life. Other people always going to have something to say, but it's you that got to live this life. Now, if you have to go somewhere else or somewhere else and somewhere else, it's like Nipsey has said, the marathon continues and the marathon only stops when you stop. And once again, like I always do when I conclude my episodes to the youth, it doesn't matter where you at. It all matters. It doesn't matter where you at. It only matters how you finish and how you conduct yourself. Because we in 2025 going in 2026 in a couple months. And a lot of things are becoming generational. So people know BS when they see it. So if you one of them youngsters that feel like they know everything and don't take heed to information or anything like that, you might be able to keep that generational curse going. But what helped me out was from not keeping that generational curse going is learning my background and getting as much information as I could. And if it wasn't for my grandmother back home on both sides and the Nashville, Tennessee family, ain't no telling where I would be. Ain't no telling. But like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment on the podcast and let me know how I'm doing. And if you want any merch, go to www.welegitclothing.com. Whatever purchase you make, it doesn't matter what it is, it's an automatic 10% discount. And if you don't want to pay for shipping, on the discount code, just type in LBC562 and you get free shipping. And if you would like to be a guest on the podcast, just shoot me a DM on any of my platforms, social media platforms. You can find me on We Legit Clothing on Facebook. You can find me on We Legit 16 on TikTok, YouTube, of course, and Instagram. Until next time, stay solid.
We hope you found this episode helpful. We love to hear your thoughts. Share your favorite takeaways on social media using hashtag WeLegitClothing. Subscribe, rate, and review the podcast to help others discover us. Until next time.